Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna. Welcome everyone to honoring this program, which is for 18 weeks. And today is actually 15th or 16th week of the program. And we have learned many, many things. And today's program is develop your own wisdom within. By now, we think we must have developed some wisdom, but whatever is remaining based on Bhagavad Gita, our session today will be more on the practices and experiences, because we have read Bhagavad Gita many times, we understood, and still there are many questions need to be answered. But until we practice and experience it, all the knowledge, all the wisdom comes from one ear and disappears. I'm Satya Kalra, your host for the program and founder of pathtoanandam and disciple of Swami Hariharji Maharaj, who guided me, asked me to study Bhagavad Gita. And with his blessings, we are here. Whatever you see on this page, this Path to Anandam, or all these bestseller books, they're all with the blessing of his guidance and blessings. So thank you very much, Guruji. And we have a program at 6:30 in the morning from Canada. And every time I make the program, and somehow, whether he shows me his vision or I hear him, today he spoke about this program, exactly the same subject which I'm going to speak about. So thank you, Guruji, for giving me extra guidance this morning and also guiding me for this week. So develop your true wisdom within. Many chapters, whole Bhagavad Gita is included in that, but mainly focus is on chapter 13 and 15 because until chapter 12, it was Bhakti Yoga. Chapter 1 to 6 focus on more on the Karma Yoga, and then 7 to 12 is more on the focus on the Bhakti Yoga. And now from chapter 13 to 18 is more on the true wisdom within. And we will be speaking about, or I will be discussing about, what is the true wisdom? What is the true Gyan? What is the power of this self-knowledge, Gyan? And what are the benefits of it? And how to develop that true knowledge within ourselves? And how to practice and experience? And everyone's favorite, meditation and action and tips. And we will start our program with the prayers. Karpanya dosho pahat svabhava paschami tvam dharma sammudha cheta yachasayani nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyaste ham chadimam tvam prapanyam shishyaste shadimam tvam prapanyam Shishyaste aham shadimam tvam prapanyam. Please guide us. And help us to do whatever is necessary for us to do, whatever is right for us. Please help us, move us with our responsibilities in our life. I'm your disciple. I surrender to you. And please always guide me. I'm the Arjuna of today. So please take care of my chariot of my life. Take the reins of my horses in your hands and guide me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, type of knowledge. Here the subject is true knowledge. But there are many types of knowledges. We all know about how much data is available now, how much information is available, how much knowledge is available. And that is very, very important. Knowledge is so important. If we do not go to school and colleges and listen, get the wisdom, get the knowledge, worldly knowledge, which is called the apara vidya, then how can we run our life? How can we build our career? How can we run our families? But those are the worldly knowledges. To move in this prakriti, move in this world. But the real wisdom, the true wisdom, which is called the parabhakti, which is a supreme knowledge, the knowledge of supreme power. And here it says, knowledge speaks, but wisdom listens. Wise people listen more. But in worldly knowledge, you have to express. And that's where the shosha comes. People express themselves more. Because worldly knowledge speaks, displays their titles, their ego. But real wisdom listens. And you can see the wise people. So what is the true wisdom? What is this true knowledge? It has many names. It is also called transcendental knowledge. That's a body, mind, and soul. But Bhagavad Gita explains so well. I've never seen any other scripture which explains it so, summarizes it so well. That true knowledge is the knowledge that gives us the understanding of who am I? What is the purpose of my life? Why am I here? Why did God send me to this world? And how to experience it. Will I just continue to go into this life, death, this continuous cycle? Or is there a beyond? And when it says life and death does not mean just a physical life and death, physical miseries. Does it continue in our life? How can we get enlightenment? How can we become balanced? Basically, chapter 13 is known as the knowledge of creator and creation. Nature, prakriti, which is the body. And creator, of course, is the supreme power. But from here on, it focuses more on the non-duality. And non-duality means Paramatma and I am one. Where until now, karma yoga, do the seva, do the things what God likes, means God is different than me. Like Lord Krishna is, we see his picture, we see his statue, we see, so it's a basically duality. He is there, I am here. It's a duality. But now the real jnana starts, and which says that everything is made with matter and energy. My body is a matter, but the current which flows to operate this body, that is the supreme power. That is the Atma. And it also gives us a very good understanding what is Jiva. Like Jiva is the body. But Jiva Atma, when body and Atma are together, when this body is functioning, the current is flowing in this body, that is called Jiva Atma. And who operates and who gives this current to all of us is Paramatma. And it is also known as Jiva, Jagat, and Jagdish. Jagat is known more on the Prakriti, nature, and Jagdish is known as supreme power. It says that it is imperishable, everlasting, and enjoyable to practice. When it comes to enjoyable to practice, we can all experience that when we sit here, we listen, we study, and meditate, whatever we do in those spiritual practices, how enjoyable it is. Doing seva, how enjoyable it is. It's very enjoyable. But one cannot express or explain that enjoyable, how anandam we feel. It's just like, if somebody asks you how the rasgulla tastes, you can say it's good, but we cannot explain the real taste of the sugar or the rasgullas or anything. Similarly, we cannot explain the supreme powers, ananda, that knowledge, that experience. That's why it is called, it's the most secret, most sacred. It is so secret, you cannot even explain it. And even if you try to explain to someone, it's very hard to explain first and for other person to receive it, because the conscious level of everybody is different. So the wisdom is the knowledge gained from experiences. This is the knowledge. But what is that knowledge? What is the true wisdom? The true wisdom is, I am God, and so is everyone else. I am Satchitananda, and so is everybody else. So real knowledge is, in Bhagavad Gita, it says that when a person discovers that the entire universe of being is actually rooted in one, and further has emerged from that one alone, he becomes that very one, Brahman himself. One, it means one to many and many to one. One, the supreme power, and then we are all this creation, we see everything that is many, but then all go back, merge back, go back to home. I call it, that's the supreme home, to one. And it's, to me, it was very hard to understand this part, but later on, finally it came to me like the current comes from the powerhouse. So there is a one current which is coming to each different homes and factories and everywhere. So it becomes the individual one. Everybody gets, like when this current goes in the food processor, then it becomes the food processor. When it comes to me, I become Satya. When it comes to AC, then it becomes the AC. It becomes the light bulbs. So each individual one represents that current, but the current is only one. That energy is only one. But we all get that current and we become the individuals. But when we leave, when the light is off, then it goes back to the meter, it goes back to the powerhouse. When we die, we go back. So then it merges back. So that's one becomes many and many becomes one. And that's why it is called the oneness. God and I are one. So chapter 13 is actually known as Creator and His creation. So union with God. Self-realization means who am I? To the path of knowing body, spirit, and supreme power. That Jeev, Jagat, and Jagdish. So everyone is made of this matter and energy, body and soul. And that's why it is called the Transcendental Knowledge. This is my favorite slide. What is the body? Body is the foundation for human life. It is a temple for the spirit. Current cannot stay in the, if there is no body, then souls are all around. But the body and soul have to be together to do anything in this world. But body is transitory. That's why it is called Deha, because it burns light up after lights. But how does this life come into existence? The tree of sanskaras, chapter 15 explains so well about that. The sharira. Sharira means, Sanskrit word sharira, but actually it means changing every moment. And it is based on our karmas, cause and effect. Whatever our karmas are, we got it. And here is the representation of this life, whole life. You can see L1, L1's with the how does this body forms? How does God decides to make this body? Because we have many, many cause and effects and many, many lifetimes. But how does he choose to bring this body, make this body? And the vision I got, this one, it is come from chapter 9, say verse 7 and 8. And I had explained it, but I will briefly explain it again, because at one time I was told to explain about these verses when we used to have this sessions in person. Ramanandji Bhai Sahib used to conduct those monthly sessions, and he asked me to speak about these verses in the next session. And when he sent me the email, I did not understand anything about those verses. And I could not speak unless I experienced it. So I was about to tell him that give me the other verses which I can speak, but not this one. But somehow I said it's 3 weeks are left. Why to say it now? Let's wait for the last week. And during that time, one Sunday when I was coming home, right in our driveway, as soon as I opened the gate, something happened. I was in the driveway. Car was running, but I think I turned it off or whatever. For 18 minutes, I was in that state. And I saw 18 of my lives, one after another, like a movie was running around. And then I realized, okay, so this part of my life, this current life is coming from that current janam, and that is coming from this birth, and this is coming from this birth, and this is, I could put the whole life together. That what is happening and what am I experiencing here? And that's where that verse, it means that God takes all the experiences of all this L1 life, L2 life, all that, and like a puzzle, and puts all the pieces of the puzzle together to make this body, and gives us a mission, purpose, that this is what you are at the current status. But in order for you to move forward with higher conscious level, these are the things you have to face. These are the things you learn. He prepares the whole curriculum for us. And we can graduate. The key here is we have to listen to his messages and run our life based on his messages, not on my own ego. So Jiva, body is there. Atma is everlasting, which we all know. Nenam chidanti shastrani, nenam dehati pavakana, chainam kalyantam purna shochati mari. Atma is everlasting. It is non-changeable, where the body is changeable. And Jiva Atma, as I mentioned, person is made of body and senses, means for action. So senses are so important in our body. Our job is to make a best use of it. And mind, without mind, we cannot do anything. So mind has to be there. Intellect, buddhi, Atma, in order for us to perform in this world or function properly, all are required. So what is the power of self-knowledge? true wisdom. True wisdom, knowledge, when I experience that I am no different than God, that is called liberation. But when we are beyond the miseries, actually experience, not just talking, we're just talking, really have to experience that. But that can be attained. Here it says, those who attain the supreme power, supreme knowledge, who perceives with the eyes of wisdom and distinction between creation body and the creator, the knower of the body, the supreme power, also known as the path of liberation from the bondage of material nature. But it emphasizes any one of the 5 paths: selfless service, knowledge, devotion, meditation, surrender. Any path can take us to liberation. So God can be attained by knowing creator and creation by any path, not that one path is better than other. So if that is the case, then why can't we experience it? What stops us? What are the barriers to attain it? And again, I have spoken about this many times. And I said, all the vices, all the shortcomings, whatever we have, whatever we feel, we should take one book and write it. This is a book where we can make the list of it. But mainly, it says what stops us? Our insatiable desires, which are the cause of our miseries. And when we have desires and when the desires is fulfilled, we become more greedy. We want more, but if it's not fulfilled, we feel very upset. And that's why it says in the chapter 16:21, Trividam narkasya dwaram nashnam atmanam kama krodh tatha lobhasya tasmad et tajed. We have to remove this. We have to minimize this. These are the cause. These are the cause of our birth and death. What is cause? Cause and effect. These insatiable desires, because they cover our, when we are angry, we cannot think about anything. We forget about that I am God or other people are God. We can't even think about, we are just so upset. All the gyan is covered. And when that happens, how could we be happy? So Lord Krishna says, one who acts under the influence of desires, disobeying the scripture, neither attains perfection nor happiness, nor supreme abode. So these 5 + 2 enemies, dhyato vishyan punsa sangasteshu pujayate, sanga sanjayate kama, kama krodho vijayate, krodha bhavati sammoha, sammoha smriti vibhrama, smriti branshad buddhi nasho, buddhi nasha pranshad. Our buddhi is totally destroyed. We cannot have the discrimination because our desires have taken over, our anger, our greed, our upsetness. And I call it 5 + 2 enemies: Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Ankar, jealousy, resentments, Gile, Shikwe, Vishay, Vikar. That's why we pray all the time. Vishay, Vikar, Mitavo, Pap, Haro, Deva. Shraddha, Bhakti, Badao, Santan ki Seva. This is all the summary of the Bhagavad Gita. So what are these barriers? Again, these desires makes us commit the sins, wrongdoings, birth and death, cause of the birth and death. But actually, these are the causes of our diseases, our insomnia. Sometimes we cannot sleep about due to some issues, some desire, something we want, something did happen, something somebody did to us, our high blood pressure, ulcer, cancer, immune deficiency diseases, you name it. These insatiated desires lead to bondage, disturbance in life, disasters, miseries. Our conscious level goes down. We become very unhappy and lead the ashant life. So desire makes one like a Duryodhana and Dusashana and Kansa, whoever you want to name it. We all have our own examples. So basically, desires take our life to hell. So what should we do? We know that this is a problem, but we want to attain this self-knowledge, want to experience more anandam. I am Satchitananda. We want to experience that. And that's where the Gita comes with the 7 steps. And these are basically, especially given for the Gyan. And so because all is taken, mostly taken from own experiences and Gita, because Gita is an ocean of knowledge. So first thing it says, set the goal in life. Have faith, self-disciplines, and all these verses and chapters are taken over there, which I will be discussing further. But control your senses, spiritual practices. For someone, it is karma yoga, for someone, it is bhakti yoga, kirtan, bhajan, wisdom, studying scriptures, meditation, doing yogas, mantras, prayers. All these come under the category of scriptures. I mean, from the scriptures for the spiritual practices. But today's main session is practice, practice, practice. Do your best and let go and surrender. So set the goal, have a faith, self-disciplines, sense control, spiritual practices, surrender, and then self-knowledge, supreme peace comes. So these are mainly the verses I have selected or from Bhagavad Gita. How to attain self-knowledge with Karma Yoga. In chapter 4, verse 38, Lord Krishna says that it's okay to do seva. Sometimes people say Karma Yoga is not good, or the meditation is not good, or the only bhajan kirtan is not good. Here, Lord Krishna says, no, you can do your seva, but seva has to be with love and devotion. Then I will give you this wisdom in due course of time. Kalen Atmani, Gyanen. I will give you that Gyan. That Gyan automatically comes when we do the seva, because our focus is on doing seva, not with the name and fame. Same thing with the Bhakti Yoga. Lord Krishna says, if you do so much, you are involved like Meera, then I will give you that wisdom to unite with me, just like Meera, merge with me. And I will give you that wisdom, where the transcendental knowledge, by which you will be able to experience me. And then Gyan Yoga, I will give you when you are on the meditation and on this Gyan, on the non-duality part with mantras, then I will give that Gyan ka Deepak main tumhare andar jalaunga. Ye Rishi Muni, when they get all this wisdom, where does it come from? When they are sitting and meditating and they are connected and God is showering them with that wisdom. So God gives light of wisdom, self-knowledge, divine light to his devotees. That's what he says. But there are requirements. Who attains it? This knowledge, and how? And I'm sure most of you know that Shraddhavan lapte jnanam tatvar sayam indriya jnanam lapva param shanti kiren din gachati. Means one who has faith and is sincere in yogic practices and has control over the senses gains this knowledge. And once he or she receives that knowledge, they get ultimate peace, and ultimate peace, anandam, satchit ananda, they experience it. But it must be practiced. and how to practice it. So how to attain it, knowledge? We talked about this graph many, many times, but I really wanted to explain that today. Why it is important to do first thing some spiritual practices, because our mind, in the morning, we might have some dream, something, but when we read Bhagavad Gita in the morning or whatever scripture you like to read, and we do Om mantras and sit down and do some spiritual practices, our mind is set in particular direction. And that, it sets our mood, our attitude. And that attitude and that mood help us to carry on with rest of the day. That's why it is so important to do whatever you like, but first thing, do certain things to set your attitude for the day. And these are my favorite ones. Even for 20 minutes, I say 60 minutes program. And actually this I heard from other saint, he named it as a 60-minute program. Tejomayanandaji from one of the organization. And he says 20 minutes yoga, 20 minutes pranayama, and 20-minute meditation. But I say, if you don't have that much, do it for 5 minutes. That's okay. And then during the day, practice one thing. We all want to improve. Whatever improvement we like to do, just set the goal in the morning that today I'm going to practice this. And continue to practice this. But then evaluate yourself and fine tune. And here I found a very nice verse, pure wisdom of experiences. One should observe and pause, and then they should move on. So it's very, very important to evaluate in the evening. Just sit quietly and just think about what I did, how I did it, and what are the areas I should be improving upon it. And I always give an example of saying thank you to others. That's one of my advisor in UC, Illinois. He gave me, when I came to this country, and after 1 year, when I was in the university, and I asked him, what are the things you think I should be improving? And he immediately said, if you could say thank you more, that will help. Because in India, we're not supposed to say thank you, and especially in those days, because whenever we said thank you, even when I go to India, even now, and when I say thank you to my close relatives or family members, they say, हम इतने पराये हो गए कि अब हमको thank you कहना पड़ता है. So that's the feeling, that's the teaching we have gotten over there. But Lord Krishna and Arjuna's relationship was based on thank you also. When he says, with Tat Prasadam Mayayut, with your kripa, means he is acknowledging. So we should acknowledge that and develop that habit. Every day set a goal. I'm going to do this 10 times, 8 times, 12, and see how many times we miss that day and continue to improve upon it. And then pray to God for helping us for further improvement. Do our best and then let go. So practice, practice, practice. Because it's a small, very slow process, like a turtle, but we should slowly by slowly, shanai shanai uppar me, buddhya gati grahita, atma samstam mana kratvana, kinchit api chinchit. Once you set the goal, just have that goal in life. And every activity must take us toward our goal. So, ultimate benefit of ultimate knowledge, or unlimited benefit of ultimate knowledge. So what do we get after doing all that? After knowing this knowledge, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, you don't need to know anything more. That's all. You just need to know who is God, who is the creator and who is the creation, what is Prakriti and who you are. By knowing this, it says again, it reduces all the bondage of karma, all the pap, even the sinner. With this wisdom, can go beyond his sinner life. In other words, all the paths get into ashes and one attains the supreme peace. It frees us from miseries of worldly existence because now we have a bigger goal and we understand the reason why all this is happening. There is a God, this is all the divine play, and God is giving us the different quizzes to go through our life and come up with strength. And it destroys all the impurities. It's basically, to me, Gita is a purifier. It purifies it. It's a mirror. It tells us what are our shortcomings are. In chapter 16, all the divine qualities. It tells us what are the divine qualities we should develop. Ahimsa, Satyam. It's a beautiful chapter. One should read about it and understand that what are the qualities I need to develop and what are the qualities, vices I have to get rid of it. So transcendental knowledge destroys the ignorance of the self and reveals the supreme, just as the sun reveals the beauty of objects of the world. And what happens? One becomes enlightened, and once all duties are accomplished, one learns that God and I are one. Whatever I'm doing everything for God. And I am no different than God. I am Satchitananda. But there is a beautiful saying here. You can acquire much knowledge, but true knowledge, wisdom comes from God. Arjuna got that from Lord Krishna. And in the form of Bhagavad Gita, now it is given to us. So what are the benefits? Continues it. Nothing else remains to be known after knowing this, he tells Arjuna. And then he says, this is such a secret, ati guham. Once you know that, and he said, thus this most secret science of transcendental knowledge has been revealed by me to you. By understanding this, one becomes enlightened, wise, and attains the purpose of life. Who am I? Which is called moksha. And it is the door to wisdom is knowing yourself. So ultimate source of true wisdom is God. Because Lord Krishna says that source of all lights. The Supreme is also the source of all lights. He is said to be beyond darkness of ignorance. He is self-knowledge. He is the one who is self-knowledge. He is the object of knowledge. If whatever we want to know in this duality, non-duality, he is that object is him. And the goal of knowledge should be supreme, that I want to realize, I want to experience that supreme power in my life. And then he says, don't worry about it. I'm with you all the time. I am sitting right in your heart. So you don't have to go very far. And he says, Sarvasya chaham hirday sanne vishta, matta smratir gyan mapohanam cha, vedyascha sarvaira meva vedyay, vedanta kratya ved videv chaham. I'm sitting in your heart. All the Vedas have come to me. So when I am in your heart, all the wisdom of Vedas, Gitas, everything will be revealed to you. Just focus on me. And that's why it says that true wisdom begins and ends with God. So God gives wisdom to his devotees. The condition is we must be connected with him. And then once we are connected, what do we get in return? Pragya Pratishta means we get the equanimity. We are not kabhi khushi, kabhi gum, kabhi uchal rahe hain, kabhi niche gir rahe hain, kabhi ro rahe hain, kabhi has. Sab kuch hota hai, ye nahi ki nahi hoga, but inside we are very stable. And then it says, Dukheshvanu Vignamana, Sukheshu Vigati Sprasha, Vitirag Bhai Krodha, Sthit Muni Dhiruchate. We become sthir like Muni. Muni means what? Who's in mourn, who's not brag, who's not complaining, who's not talking about nonsense, but is still keeping his mind focused. So he's not disturbed by sorrows, dukheshu, and not too much attracted toward the pleasure and happiness, free from attachment, free from fear, and free from anger. So path to realize or knowing God. Here is, he says, some perceives the self supreme within self through meditation, other by yoga of knowledge, and still others by yoga of action, selfless service. Yet others worship me as they have heard from others. Santon say, sages say. They also cross beyond death by their devotion to what they have heard. In other words, God is only one, but the method for realizing him are many. So the message here is use your path as you like, as long as you are on the path of self-realization. Who am I? So thank you very much for attending, joining, developing your true wisdom within. And now we will move to the meditation part. And today's meditation is I am Satya Ananda.